Hi, my name is Brandon Blanco, and I'm giving a little presentation on Walter Cronkite. He was a very influential member of mass media. He basically was one of the people at the forefront of mass media itself. He was born on November 7th, 1916, and he actually died very recently, which kind of hit close to home because he was a big figure in my life. I always looked up to him because I'm actually a journalism major, so I actually watched a lot of his videos on YouTube, a lot of his old newscasts. I've always been very interested in him, and that's why I'm very happy that I've been given the opportunity to write on him and basically give a presentation to you guys on him. He was actually the most influential journalist, you could actually say, of all time. My parents knew him, my grandparents knew him, my grandparents' parents knew him. He's honestly been in the game since the 60s. He covered the Vietnam War, covered JFK's assassination. I'll go into them more deeply throughout this presentation just to give you a little bit of a taste of what I researched and what I already knew, considering he was one of my favorite people to look up to, journalist, broadcaster, and just an overall person. He was just a great person, always was very warm to fans. People would always go up to him. He always had a very good demeanor. Ronald Reagan loved him. A lot of presidents actually very much enjoyed him, except for Nixon, obviously, because he brought out the whole Watergate scandal, but we'll talk about that later. Okay. He is actually unparalleled by any other newscaster. No newscaster's name has come up as much as he has. There have been other newscasters that are very famous, but Walter Cronkite he really embodies the word itself, newscasting. He actually put a face to the news. For a long time, the news was more of a boring or dull event that people would just watch to get information. People would just want to know, oh, what's going on around me? But Walter Cronkite would not only supply what was going on around you, he'd put a great spin on it just to enlighten the viewers. He'd always have a smile on his face. He'd always be entertaining, and he had a very powerful voice. That's why a lot of people actually used him for voiceovers. Walt Disney World actually has a ride called Spaceship Earth, where he actually speaks in the beginning of the ride on a teleprompter to basically tell you how the ride goes, where your destination is. It basically gives it that space feel because he has a very powerful voice. Before him, people thought the news was actually boring. I already said this, but I can't emphasize it enough. He really put a brand, a little bit of sauce, like he put his personality into it. And a lot of newscasters did not know how to do that. He was actually the first newscaster to bring up the Kennedy assassination, which obviously is a very influential event in U.S. history. JFK was recognized as one of the best presidents that we've ever had, and is still recognized to this day. The assassination was next to maybe September 11th, next to maybe a couple other events, but that was one of the most influential events in U.S. history, and he covered it. He was actually the first to cover it. He actually journeyed also to Vietnam after the aftermath of the Tet Offensive, which was a U.S. attack on Vietnamese soil. And actually, President Johnson even said that he was so influential that if he had lost Walter Cronkite, he might have lost Middle America. He was one of the main presenters at the transatlantic program also, and he covered the U.S. space program and all of their publicity. Basically, if the U.S. space program had a new space shuttle that they wanted to talk about, or a new method of getting to another planet or another star, or if we were sending a new orbital shuttle out into outer space, he would always cover it. He'd tell the U.S., NASA is in the new works of either a Voyager space shuttle or a satellite, which was unmanned, that we would send into outer space. A lot of times he would tell the public whenever that would happen. It was a very struggling field at the time. When Walter Cronkite came in, not many people looked at newscasting as a possible career route. He really got people interested. You could honestly consider him a vanguard for the entire thing itself. And I just want to tell you guys that Walter Cronkite was a great man, and he influenced mass media heavily, and that is why I gave you this presentation.